going to give you some of my best tips that helped me to get straight 9s at GCSE, AAA star at A-level, and just got my first 100% in my chemistry at uni. I know a thing or two about studying. This tip is if you're taking GCSEs or A-levels. It's most important for STEM subjects. You need to learn the mark scheme. It's getting repetitive, but it is one of the most important tips I can give. Look at the mark schemes from past papers and words that are in bold, there are words that are underlined, and if you see any of those two things, that means you have to say that word to get the mark. What I would advise doing is creating something called a word bank. So for each subject or even topic, I want you to write down the key words that keep coming up in the mark scheme so you know what you need to say in the exam. This tip applies for anyone at uni, GCSE or A-level. I want you to start doing practice papers in half the time. Pushing yourself at home, you will get to the exam and it is so much easier. If you can't finish the exam in half the time, I bet you now you'll get to the exam and you will have a lot more time left over than you think. This tip also works if you're doing A-levels, GCSE or uni exams, and that is to not just test yourself from your exam board or your specific uni exams. A lot of people struggle in exams because they see questions they've never seen before and they immediately don't know what to do. They go in a downward spiral and they can't answer half of the paper. If you start purposefully giving yourself questions that may be a bit out of your course or a bit out of your specification, you are getting your body used to that feeling of, I don't know how to do this. You are building up an exam technique that means that when you get to the exam, no matter what is thrown at you, you are way more prepared and you don't just break down a question you can't do. It's all about making sure that when you get to the exam, you're guaranteed to perform your best. Last tip is so basic, but not enough people do it. That is, you need to highlight your question in an exam. Bear in mind, I tutor. The amount of mistakes that my tutees make because they're silly mistakes, not because they didn't know the answer, it's because they slipped up. It's because you've missed off a unit, you've missed off a conversion, you've missed off 3 significant figures or 2 decimal places. Please highlight your questions. I used to use 3 colours. I used to use a colour unit, I used to use a colour if it needed converting, and I used a colour for command words. It will stop you losing the mark. It's the difference between grades. So please highlight. I hope that has helped at least one of you. Doing more study content, I've just had a lot going on with my dissertations, etc. at uni and my exams, but I will be posting, don't worry.